It's strange, but I've never really made much progress in the Bard's Tale 2. I've beaten the Bard's Tale 1 and 3, but for some reason when I was really into dungeon crawlers, it was tough to find a copy of 2. The original Bard's Tale 2 was 6 years old at this point. To give this Famicom release some context, the current hot dungeon crawler when it was released was Eye of the Beholder, and just 2 months after Bard's Tale 2 for the Famicom was released, Ultima Underworld hit. Technology was shifting fast, and the Famicom was getting ports of 6-year-old computer games. But that said, it's a really impressive port of a 6-year-old computer game. Okay, you can't import your party from the original Bard's Tale. Similar to Pony Canyon's port of the original Bard's Tale, they've streamlined a lot of the game, making it a lot more approachable. You might recall from my first Bard's Tale video how in the first attack of the first random encounter, after I spent 20 minutes setting up my party, my frontline fighter died. That doesn't happen here. It's still a brutal dungeon crawler, it's just not going to try to break you like that. The first thing you have to do when you start playing is create a party. And that means generating 5 characters. Not 6, 5. You pick out their character class between fighter, knight, hunter, thief, bard, conjurer, and magician. Something you'll notice when creating characters is that all of them are already min-maxed. You'll find that your stats are pretty extreme. Your primaries will be relatively high, and anything you don't use will be abysmally low. Once you have a party of 5 people built, you can head out into town. And unlike the original Bard's Tale, towns are pretty safe. You have to go wandering around outside of the city or searching in dungeons to find combat. The plot of the game is that an evil wizard has an artifact, and they broke it, so you have to assemble the pieces yourself to stop them. The only one who can assemble the artifact is an archmage, a leveled up version of one of the magic-using classes. That means you will have to include one of them in your party if you want to beat the game. So why is this still called the Bard's Tale? Well, branding. The title was originally going to be the Archmage's Tale, but the full title of Tales of the Unknown never caught on, and so the series stuck by the Bard's Tale. The town you start in is relatively small, easy to navigate, and has 5 special shops. There's an inn where you can rest and recover all of your health and magic. The inn is also where you go to save your game, and there are 2 save slots on this cartridge. The inn is a new addition to this game. The one thing that doesn't recover here are the bard's songs, and that's because he has to go to a bar and get a drink. You can also get some tips at the bar. There's a hospital that can cure poison or revive dead characters, neither of which you're going to probably use early on, especially since poison ticks down health every time you move, and you're probably not going to be able to reach the doctor before it kills you. The advancement board is nearby, and once you've leveled up enough, they can let you change your class. And finally, there's the weapon shop. You no longer have to shop individually, sending in 1 character at a time, and no longer is there a monster list of equipment to peruse. The shop in the first town just has some basic starting equipment. 1 type of armor for the people who wear that, a couple of different weapons, 1 style of shield, and 2 instruments. While you're exploring, you can hit the B button to bring up a menu, and here you can check out your status, cast spells, use a bard song, change equipment, use an item. It's about what you'd expect. Well, now that you have a full party and have all of your equipment, you might think it's time to leave town and explore the world. Well, you're wrong. The guards won't let you leave until you've leveled up enough. Instead, at the other end of town, there's a special dungeon made for starting characters. Technically, you don't even have to finish it. You can level up enough to leave town before you've defeated the boss at the bottom floor. But the dungeon is specifically set up to ease you into the game. And how easy have they made it to get into the game? Well, here I am in my first combat, 3 goblins, and since I encountered them right at the entrance, I'm beating them up, throwing my spells at them, and I've even had the bard use one of his new abilities to summon a helper. I win the fight, and everyone instantly levels up. They don't make you go back to the advancement board here, they just immediately let you power up. And every class has certain things that are more likely to increase in strength than others. Fighters will get hit points, while conjurers will get magic points. It's not that you'll never get one of those off stats. It's just unlikely. And so what you'll need to do for a while is explore this dungeon. The dungeon maps here are actually a bit smaller than the original PC games, and they've taken out a lot of the crueler traps. But they've also added bosses to the game, so you'll have to fight some kind of super tough monster at the end of every dungeon. The Bard's Tale 2 is a pretty rare Famicom game, and so it's not well known in Japan. In fact, the only recent conversation I could find was someone overjoyed at actually finding a copy in a thrift store. And to that I say, I feel ya, buddy. I think The Bard's Tale 2 is the last dungeon crawler on the Famicom, and it really went out with a bang. This might not be the exact game that players got on PCs back in 1986, but it's a streamlined, much more approachable experience. It's still incredibly difficult, but a lot of the small headaches have been addressed. Pony Canyon was definitely considering porting The Bard's Tale 3 to the Famicom, but they decided to end support for the system by the time this one was released. It's not the last Pony Canyon game we're going to see, but it's coming up really quick. I kind of wish they had reversed the order of their last two releases, so at least they could have gone out on a high note.